Hey, everybody out there. I want to welcome you to the latest episode of Jammin with James. This one's going to be a little bit different. Instead of doing a guitar, a playthrough video, I'm going to talk about 5 albums that I've been listening to lately. A lot of you probably don't know that I'm a big vinyl guy. I love vinyl. I never stopped listening to vinyl. And I literally started when I was like 2 years old collecting. I used to spend my allowance money on 45s. And what a great time that was. I was born in the mid 60s. The Beatles, what else can you say about that? Then came Led Zeppelin, then came Kiss, Van Halen, Black Sabbath came, in the late 60s, early 70s. So it was a really, really cool time to be growing up. Some of the best music ever came from those years, and that continued for me, all the way up through the 80s, 90s, 2000s, and still today. So really, I've always been a music person. I've always loved music, and here's the top 5 I've been listening to lately. I'm going to start with one that just dropped this week. It's from Todd Michael Hall, Off the Rails. And I tell you, this is a great album. Like the kids say nowadays, it's a banger. For those of you that don't know, Todd has been the vocalist for Riot, which became Riot V after the death of Mark Reale back earlier in the 2000s. And Todd's one of my favorite singers. He can sing high. He can sing with a lot of feeling. And he's one of those, when he sings high, you just don't feel like he's losing it, like some singers. But this is a great album. I got it, came in yesterday. I got the cassette too. And I've been playing that thing all day. I work from home. So I've been listening to the cassette pretty much all the time since yesterday. So let's take a look inside. So this one came with a signed flat. Really cool. Always cool to have that stuff. And inner sleeve, it's got a picture of Todd, some lyrics, some credits. And what's really cool about this one is that Kurt Vanderhoof from the band Metal Church wrote all the music for this. And this is the second album where Todd and Kurt have worked together. On this one, it doesn't list all the credits. I think Kurt played most of the guitars. I know he wrote the music. And Todd wrote all the melody lines, sang all the vocals, wrote all the lyrics, did all the double harmonies, triple harmonies. And this is just such a really, really great record. I think probably my favorite song on this one is Start With Love. And one thing I like about Todd, not only with his solo stuff, but through Riot, a lot of the lyrics are positive, and a lot of them are just about everyday things. So it's really, really, really cool. I find that easy to connect to. This one, let's see, is kind of a green marble vinyl, which is really cool. Looks good on the table. All right, let's take a look at the next one. So the next one is also from Todd Michael Hall. This came out in 2021. It's called Sonic Healing. I really like the cover, like the graphic on the cover. Kind of taken the medical symbol and put a microphone up the middle, which is kind of cool. And just like the one that I just showed you, Off the Rails, this one was also a project where Todd worked with Kurt Vanderhoof, and I believe it was the same type of situation. Kurt wrote the music, Todd wrote the lyrics, and here we go. I think my favorite from this one is the first track. It's called Overdrive. So Really cool. Let's take a look inside the inner sleeve. Got the lyrics, picture of Todd doing his thing. And on the other side, just a close-up picture of Todd. He's cut his hair since, so a little bit different look. But I really like that one. That one came out in 2021. All right, the next one. It's related. And I tell you, this is probably one of my, it's definitely my favorite album of the year. In my opinion, the best metal album of the year, and that's saying a lot. I mean, that's going up against Judas Priest, Invincible Shield, and a lot of other ones that people talk about. But just a great, great album. And what caught my eye initially when this came out back in April of this year is they brought back the seal mascot. A lot of people don't know even the name of the seal or the legend behind the seal. I'll get into more of that a little bit later, but the Mighty Tior, that's the name of the seal. And this album's called Mean Streets. Now, since the death of Mark Reale back in the early 2000s, Riot started going by Riot V, and you can see, there's the V back here. The V stands for 5, the 5th lead singer for the band that started in 1977. So they're nearing 50 years, and that's just, I don't know, that's incredible to me just in and of itself. But this one's called Riot, Mean Streets, and I'll talk about the lineup of this band. Great guitar playing, great singing, great songwriting. Hail to the Warriors, Feel the Fire, Love Beyond the Grave, High Noon, Before the Time, Higher, Mean Streets, Open Road, Mortal Eyes, Lost Dreams, Lean Into It, No More. My favorite song from this one, I think it's Lean Into It. It's right up there with Mean Streets, the song. Lean Into It is another example of positive lyrics from Todd. Really, really cool. Love this album. Great guitars, great playing, great writing. Let's open it up. So this one's got kind of a generic sleeve, and I think there's a lot of different versions of this one out there as far as color. This is the white one. Very cool. And this one has a flat inside with the lyrics. And the players, members of the band at the time. Got Mike Flint's. He's one of those guitarists that is just so killer. He's in a bunch of projects. And sadly, kind of like with Mark Reale, nobody knows who he is. But he's in a lot of different projects. I think he plays in a Bee Gees tribute band, a Neil Diamond tribute band, and also in a band with James Durbin that was from American Idol called Clean Break. And I think that they just dropped an album that I'll have to check out. But Mike Flint's, Frank Gilchrist, he's been in the band a couple different times, just a killer drummer. Donnie Van Stavern on bass, he's been in the band a couple different times, great songwriter. He had a lot to do with the next album that he want to talk about as well. Nick Lee, I think he's had to take a hiatus from the band due to some medical issues. And they've had a replacement on the road. And then Todd Michael Hall. So if you haven't listened to Riot V, Mean Streets, you need to do it. All right, the next one. For me, it's probably one of the best metal albums of all time. I'm wearing the shirt. It's Riot, Thundersteel, 1988. And everybody, if you have not listened to this, it is one of the best metal albums of all time. It's got a really cool 80s production. And this album is a result of Mark kind of wanting to reinvent the band and move to San Antonio, Texas. Ended up finding some new players and this is the result. Donnie Van Staveren wrote a lot of these songs. He's such a killer songwriter, as well as a bassist. I think everybody, the song Thundersteel, it's one of those songs that everybody's heard, and then you hear it and you're like, oh, I remember that song. But yeah, this is just killer. One of the things that caught my eye about this album is that they didn't have Johnny the Tior, the seal mascot, on this album cover anywhere. So let's open this one up. It's got Thundersteel, Fight or Fall. These are all classics. Thundersteel, Fight or Fall, Sign of the Crimson Storm, Flight of the Warrior, On Wings of Eagles, Johnny's Back. That's a really cool one. Blood Streets, Run for Your Life, Buried Alive. Those are all just amazing songs. But opening this one up, it's got the credits on one side. It's got a picture of the band on the other side. And in the band at this time, I think this is the only time I know of where they recorded an album where Mark was the only guitarist, or there was one guitarist. But you had Mark Reale on guitar, Tony Moore on vocals, Don Van Staveren on bass, and Bobby Jarzombek on drums. This is just such a killer album. This one gets me fired up whenever I listen to it. So yeah, this was the album that didn't have Johnny the Tior on it. And from my understanding, Johnny the Seal, the mighty Tior, came from an advertising agent at or a marketing agent at the record company. And basically, this came from back in the late 70s. There was a lot of stuff on the news, and I remember seeing this about people clubbing seals for their fur. Okay, the mighty Tior, he basically became a half human, half seal superhero that was getting revenge on the humans for hurting all the seals. So I don't know. To me, the backstory is really cool. Some people think it's corny. I've never thought it's corny. They're like, "Oh, you're listening to Riot, the seal band," you know. And I don't know. I always connected to it. I thought it was cool. All right, my next one is one of my favorite bands. They've been a favorite of mine for a long time. My buddy John Humphrey plays drums for these guys. He has since 2003. He was in the Nixons before that. But this one, Seether, The Surface Seems So Far. And these guys just continue to knock it out of the park. They don't have a bad album. And I would say they don't have a bad song. There's never been a Seether song that I've heard, and I've heard all of them, where I just want to switch the channel. It just doesn't happen. They're all great. This one is probably, I would say it's probably their heaviest album, in my opinion. It's got a lot of really cool guitar tones. It's got John Humphrey on drums, Corey Lowry on guitars and vocals, Sean Morgan on guitar. He does a lot of the songwriting, and I believe Sean produced this one also. Yeah, he did. He produced this one. He produced the last one as well. And Del Stewart on bass. And those guys, that core group has been together since 2003. I believe Corey joined as a fourth member around 2016, 2017. And I think Corey does a lot of stuff in the background too. He does a lot of engineering, does a lot of sound mixing and stuff like that for the band as well. So really cool. Probably my favorite song from this one. There's a couple. I like them all, but a couple to me really stand out. Judas Mind. I think a lot of you have probably heard that one on the radio. And there's another one called Try to Heal that I really like, that has a really cool guitar riff. Being a guitar player, that's kind of what I listen for. So yeah, here's the back of it. Let's open it up. And this one came with a signed flat. I believe there's 3 different colors of this album. There was 2 you could get from the Seether website, and there was 1, I believe it was a Best Buy exclusive. This one is kind of a greenish, translucent marbled effect. But I've seen this color in the past called Coke bottle. It kind of looks like an old green Coke bottle. It's kind of cool. But yeah, that's what I'm listening to lately. 4 related to Riot and 1 from Seether. And I'm glad you watched this. I love talking about my favorite bands. I love talking about music. So see you next time.